Buddha and Emotion, A Journey to Inner Peace. Chapter 1, The Suffering of the Mind. Once upon a time, in the serene forests of India, there lived a young man named Jivaka. He was a devoted seeker of wisdom, yet his heart was heavy with the burdens of emotion. Jivaka was a man of great talent and intelligence, but his emotions often controlled him. Anger flared when he faced injustice, sadness clouded his mind when he felt alone, and fear gripped him when he thought about the uncertainties of life. One day, unable to bear the turmoil within him, Jivaka decided to seek the guidance of the Buddha. He had heard of the enlightened one's wisdom, his teachings on suffering, and the path to liberation. With determination in his heart, Jivaka set off on a journey to find the Buddha and understand the true nature of emotion. Chapter 2, The Meeting with the Buddha. After many days of travel, Jivaka finally reached the monastery where the Buddha resided. The air was calm, the trees swayed gently in the wind, and the sound of birds filled the atmosphere with peace. Jivaka felt a strange sense of relief just by being in such a tranquil place. As he approached, he saw the Buddha seated under a Bodhi tree, radiating an aura of deep peace and wisdom. Jivaka bowed respectfully and spoke, "Blessed One, my heart is troubled. Emotions rise within me like a storm, and I cannot control them. Anger, sadness, fear, and desire disturb my mind. How can I find peace?" The Buddha smiled gently and replied, "Sit, my child. Let us speak of the nature of emotions." Chapter 3, Understanding Emotion. The Buddha picked up a small cup filled with water and held it before Jivaka. "Look at this water," he said. "When it is still, you can see your reflection clearly, but when it is disturbed, the reflection is distorted. The same is true for your mind. When emotions arise, they shake your inner peace, distorting your perception of a reality." Jivaka listened carefully as the Buddha continued. "Emotions are not your enemies, nor are they your masters. They are simply passing clouds in the vast sky of your mind. If you cling to them, they will trouble you. If you try to suppress them, they will only grow stronger. But if you observe them with wisdom, they will come and go without disturbing your peace." Jivaka nodded, beginning to understand. "But how can I stop emotions from controlling me, Lord Buddha?" The Buddha pointed to the sky. "Can you stop the wind from blowing?" "No, Blessed One," Jivaka replied. "Then why try to stop emotions? Instead, learn to be like the vast sky, allowing emotions to pass without attachment." Chapter 4, The Four Noble Truths and Emotions. The Buddha then explained the Four Noble Truths and their connection to emotions. 1. Dukkha, suffering. All beings experience suffering. Emotions like anger, sadness, and fear are part of this suffering. Second, samudaya, cause of suffering. Clinging to emotions, identifying with them, and craving for certain feelings lead to suffering. 3. Nirodha, end of suffering. By letting go of attachment to emotions, one can attain inner peace. Fourth, magga, the path to liberation. Following the Noble Eightfold Path, right view, right speech, right action, and so on, helps in understanding and mastering emotions. Jivaka was deeply moved by these teachings. He realized that he had been clinging to his emotions, allowing them to define him. Chapter 5, The Practice of Mindfulness. "But Lord, how can I practice this in daily life?" Jivaka asked. The Buddha replied, "Mindfulness is the key. Observe your emotions without judgment. When anger arises, acknowledge it. This is anger. When sadness arises, observe it. This is sadness. Do not resist or indulge, simply watch." To demonstrate, the Buddha pointed to a leaf floating down the river. "Imagine your emotions like this leaf. If you try to grab it, you disturb the water. If you let it flow naturally, it will pass." Jivaka closed his eyes and practiced. He observed his emotions without reacting. For the first time, he felt a sense of detachment from them. Chapter 6, The Test of Emotion. Days passed, and Jivaka continued to learn from the Buddha. One day, as he meditated in the forest, a man insulted him without reason. At first, anger flared within him, but he remembered the Buddha's words. Instead of reacting, he observed his anger. He noticed how it rose like a wave and then faded away. He realized he had a choice. He did not have to act on his emotions. Smiling, he looked at the man and said, "Thank you for your words. May you find peace." The man, confused by Jivaka's calmness, walked away in silence. Jivaka felt a deep sense of victory, not over the man, but over himself. Chapter 7. The Path to True Freedom. Jivaka returned to the Buddha and shared his experience. The Buddha smiled and said, "Now you understand, my child. Emotions are natural, but you are not their slave. With mindfulness and wisdom, you can navigate them with ease." Jivaka bowed deeply. He had come seeking answers, and he had found something greater, the path to true freedom. No longer bound by the storms of emotion, he walked forward with a heart full of peace. And so Jivaka became a true disciple of the Buddha, spreading the wisdom of emotional mastery to all who suffered. Conclusion. The journey of Jivaka teaches us that emotions are not to be feared or suppressed, but understood and observed with wisdom. Through mindfulness, detachment, and self awareness, we can free ourselves from emotional suffering and find true inner peace, just as the Buddha taught.